Hey there. We have something a little different this week. I'm reading a story written by Maggie and Rai'fe. It takes place in a strange land, far, far away. Okay, not that far, nor that strange. Takes place in Scotland, okay? I think this could be the start of a beautiful friendship, or something. I looked at my phone for probably the 100th time in the last 10 minutes. My head was swirling. I really had no idea where I should turn. Well, I did. I just wasn't keen on my options. Mr. McTiernan came by earlier this afternoon and effectively evicted me and my entire team from the cottages that we currently called home. But we rented them for a year. I dug through my papers looking for the contract that guaranteed us temporary ownership of the rambling buildings. Just give me a minute. I know I have it here somewhere. "'Tis right sorry I am, lassie," he said, twisting his hat in his hands. "But you see, the renovations were planned for these here cottages years ago. 'Twas a scheduling oversight, and we are most embarrassed." "An oversight? This is a bit more than an oversight, Mr. McTiernan." I flung my hand back to encompass the space around us that served as my cataloging room. "Just where are we supposed to go?" I was shouting at him and struggled to find some semblance of calm. "Well now, to be honest, none of us expected that you and your crew would still be here." I glared at him, and he had the grace to look ashamed. "Yeah, well, you and the rest of the town can get—" Mr. McTiernan held up a placating hand. "No need to be vulgar, lassie," he admonished. "There may yet be a solution to this conundrum." "I'm listening," I said, arms crossed over my chest, while I watched the cagey bastard. He gave me a small smile and tugged at his collar as if it were strangling him. "Have you considered asking himself if you could stay in his keep?" I laughed out loud at that. "All of us? Stay with him?" Mr. McTiernan nodded his head, mistaking my tone for one of happiness, rather than the sarcasm I intended. "You have lost your damn mind!" "What other choice do you have, lass? All the other inns and hostels be booked for the summer months, unless you mean to camp by your dig. I can't imagine that to be too appealing or productive even. Nay, you need to call his lordship. Mark me words." "The hell I will!" I paced away from him, determined that I would not be obligating myself to the first man to show interest in me in years. Further compounding the issue, I'd slept with him several times. I didn't know where this placed me in his world. We'd not spoken about long-term, instead just choosing to enjoy the moment. The idea of begging him for a place to stay chafed. What if he didn't want a permanent house guest? House guests, I corrected myself. Which is why I'm sitting on the window ledge, looking out over the village as the sun sets, debating on calling the only man that can apparently help me. As Mr. McTiernan rightly pointed out, there are no rooms available anywhere in town. Before I can stop myself, I've dialed his number and I'm praying that he doesn't answer. Go to voicemail, I chant. Sassenach. His deep bass cuts across the line, thrilling me, making my heart sink to my toes at the same time. Hi, Rai'fe. Closing my eyes, I press a trembling palm to my forehead. I need your help. I hadn't known exactly what to expect of Mags if she called about being evicted. The tone in those 6 simple words, however, had me reconsidering what I'd set into motion. It was her fire, her passion and spirit I was quickly finding myself getting tangled up by. This dejected and none too thrilled voice on the other end of the line wasn't from the same female that has me quite ensnared by her charms. My help, Sassenach? From the sounds of your voice, I'm thinking my help is the last thing you're really wanting. So, the need must be great indeed. I hadn't decided how I would respond to her if she did call. I'd half expected to find her in the team's tents, pitched up at the dig site come the morn. Now, I was almost wishing that had been her decision rather than coming to me, sounding like a dog that had been kicked to the curb in need of another's care. Let me cut to the chase, lass. Sassenach, it's come to my attention that an arrangement I'd made concerning some cottages I own to be renovated has become somewhat of a problem for you and your crew. The timing is unfortunate, and I ken that you had paid for several more months' rent toward the cottage. I regret I cannot delay the renovations, but I'd hardly cheat you out of your money, nor would I toss you out on your ears. The line was silent, except for her breathing, and even that was something none without a keen sense of hearing would have picked up. When she didna jump at me pause, I continued on. The feeling that me offer was nae gonna go over well pulsed through me with every beat of me heart. I pushed through the uncomfortable feeling, needing her to feel as if she still had her pride after all was said and done. Since this was an oversight, not only of the landlord I employ to manage the cottage, but mine as well, I'd feel only right if you and your team were to continue to stay here on the island by settling in at my estate. There's plenty of room, and I could guarantee you'd have your privacy, while having all the advantages my staff could offer you while you're there. My pulse pounded in my ears until I couldn't hear him over the rush of sound. He's the reason we're being evicted? I nearly choked on my tongue. Here I am asking for the help of the very man that is the cause of my problems. An oversight? An oversight? I'm screeching into my phone, holding it in front of me. If I could reach through it right now and strangle him, I would. Rising from my seat, I began pacing the small confines of my room and growling into the phone. How could you? You knew I rented those cottages and that we were paid ahead for at least 6 more months. Looking heavenward, I speak to the ceiling. Of course, the one person that owns where I live is the same person that's trying to get me to leave since I got here. My heart constricted, and I gasped at dawning enlightenment. That's it, isn't it? You couldn't get me to leave with a full frontal assault, so you thought you'd seduce me? I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I really wanted to kick Mr. Vaughn where it counted. God, I am so stupid, I hissed aloud. So what? You figured that once you got me under your thumb, you'd remember that the cottages needed to be renovated, and then conveniently there would be no other place for me and my entire crew to stay? Rai'fe was quiet on the other end of the line, mostly because I wasn't giving him a chance to speak. Why, Rai'fe? What could you possibly hope to gain? Or is this just another ploy to interfere in my work? The missing and vandalized equipment wasn't enough for you? You resorted to stealing my finds? And now this? I felt trapped, like I was backed into a corner with no escape, save accepting the largesse of the very man that put me in this position.